Shopping. This word can stir an array of thoughts and emotions from many different people. For some, it can bring a sense of despair at the thought of having to yet again walk around the mall while your mom and sister shop for new clothes. For others like myself, shopping is a wonderful word. I work hard for my money and I enjoy going out with my friends and spending it. However, what most people don't realize is that where they're spending their money not only affects them personally, but also their entire community. I try to take responsibility about where I spend my money. I'm a college student and I'm on a budget, but I also want to ensure that there's a good economy once I graduate. Watching where and how I spend my money is one way I take responsibility. Local communities could be made stronger if people chose to shop locally instead of at big box stores. Today, I'm going to tell you what shopping locally means, how it affects the community, and most importantly, how it affects you. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what shopping locally means. According to Julia Janska from Montana Standard, buying locally is simply buying something from a business that is owned by a member of the community. So shopping locally is pretty easy. Find a store that is owned by a local community member. Now that you know what shopping locally means, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it affects your community. Shopping locally affects the local economy. According to the New England Economic Foundation did a study on supermarkets versus farmers markets. It found that when money is spent at the farmers market as opposed to the big name supermarket, that 10% more of that money will stay in the community. This means that buying at a farmers market will help the community be 10% more efficient at self-sustaining. I have a graph here for you to look at. Local Works did another study. They took $100. When you shop at a locally owned business, 73 of that $100 will stay in the local economy. This will provide better wages, more donations, more local taxes, and more local business services. When $100 is spent at a non-locally owned business, however, only 43 of those dollars stay in the community, while $57 leave the local economy. Do you run marathons, play on community sports teams? Maybe you like to raise money for charity. Well, according to Mitchell 2010, locally owned businesses donate 250% more to charitable organizations than do big name companies. Shopping locally also increases economic activity. There was a study done in Maine, and it showed that if 10% of people shifted their retail spending from national chains to locally owned businesses, there would be another $127 million added to their local economic activity. Now that you know a little bit about how shopping locally will affect the community, I'm going to tell you about how it affects you. Shopping locally will affect you. According to Mitchell 2010, shopping locally will affect things like wages and job availability. Locally owned businesses also have more local investments. Local places work harder to stay open since they have a connection with the community. This means that if you work for a local business and you shop at a local business, they're more invested in you as a consumer. Well, what can you do to help? Well, if every family in the U.S. spent an extra $10 a month at a locally owned independent business instead of a national chain, over $9.3 billion would be directly returned to our economy instead of leaving it. Today I've talked to you a little bit about what shopping locally means, how shopping locally affects the economy, and how shopping locally affects you. David Boyle, who is an economist in New England, said, "Money is like blood. It needs to keep moving around to keep the economy going. If it's not spent locally, it flows out like a wound." I hope that you all choose to shop locally now. Thank you.